Hello, I am Cedric Perry, Managing Director, Workforce Solutions at Microsoft. On today's webinar session, we will focus on TEKsystems Global Services, also known as TGS, implementation of the Microsoft Copilot solution at the Allegis Group. Here's what we'll cover: why Allegis Group went with Copilot, why now, an overview of their customer zero story, protecting what matters with data being so key to AI, driving real tangible results, and then a rapid Q&A session. Now let me tell you a little bit about TGS. TGS is a leading provider of business and technology services. Their expertise in strategy, design, execution, and operations unlocks business value through a range of solutions. TGS brings qualified expertise and deep experience to help maximize ROI from the Microsoft products to achieve real value. From discovery and design to adoption and improvement, they tailor our business transformation solutions to meet customer needs and stay ahead of what's next. We're also joined by Allegis Group, a global leader in workforce and business solutions. Their network of specialized companies is unified in a common purpose to create significant opportunities for people and companies to grow and thrive. I'm excited to have joining me for today's session Allegis Group Vice President Leticia McAlexander, and joining from TGS is their Global Services Practice Architect and Copilot expert, Ryan Stoughton. A warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Cedric.
Thanks to both of you. I'm so excited to hear about Allegis Group's deployment of 10,000 Copilot licenses, key insights, and lessons learned. So let's dig in, let's get started, and I'll start off with my first question for you, Leticia. Why Copilot and why now?
Thank you, Cedric. Copilot worked at Allegis Group because the moment was right. The foundation was already there, and the organization had confidence in our ability to execute. It wasn't about chasing the AI hype. It was about extending our existing tools, governance, and ways of working. We already had a head start because Copilot wasn't a new platform for us. It was an extension of the Microsoft tools that our people already use every day. We already invested in data governance, in privacy and security, so that we weren't starting from scratch. And we created our AI Center of Excellence that validated our approach through an early pilot. The bottom line for us is readiness is about building that strong foundation and then having confidence in our ability to execute. And TEKsystems Global Services helped us scale both securely and effectively.
Thanks for that overview, Leticia. So this leads to my next question for you, Ryan. What was TGS's role in helping with data preparedness and change management to support Allegis Group?
Yeah, thanks, Cedric. TGS supported Allegis Group in the data preparation phase by really ensuring that our partners were auditing SharePoint and OneDrive collections where possible to understand not just what data was being shared, but who that data was being shared with. Now, for change management support, we worked with the adoption leads in the various brands underneath Allegis Group to understand how their individual organizational change management practices worked. We were also able to provide those folks with suggestions for communications and content to send out.
Thanks, Ryan. So through the assistance of TGS, Allegis Group ensured their environments were ready for Copilot. As you look to implement Copilot into your business operations, Leticia, what workflow challenges were you aiming to solve?
We had two main goals. The first was to automate those time-consuming, repeatable tasks so that our people could redirect that capacity toward higher impact work. And our second goal was to make our people better at their jobs, right? Reinforcing that AI is here to accelerate them and not to replace them. So we wanted to free our teams up from administrative burden so that they could focus on strategic thinking, relationship building, and problem-solving tasks that directly drives our customer and business outcomes. And those are things that only humans can do well. We also saw a strategic opportunity. Our workforce already runs on M365, Azure, Office E5, so that Copilot wasn't asking people to learn a new platform. It met them in the tools that they already use every day. The timing from a business perspective was right too. Gen AI had matured, and we had already invested in data governance and classification, and all of it aligned with our enterprise agreement renewal window.
That's great feedback. Being able to quickly integrate and leverage any Gen AI solution into your natural flow of work is vital and a necessary requirement. And that happens to be one of the key strengths of Copilot. As you rolled out Copilot, where did adoption grow fastest?
We have about 10,000 users of Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses and another 8,000 with Copilot Chat. So adoption took off fastest with everyday productivity scenarios, summarizing meetings, email drafting, and document creation. Across those 18,000 users, we saved about 150,000 hours so far in time that's been redirected to higher impact work that we talked about, strategic thinking, relationship building, complex problem solving, and so on. So we saw a strong uptick in function-specific use cases. For example, recruiters using it for candidate prep and submittal packages, sales teams using it for prospecting insights, general research and QBR prep, marketing for first draft content. Our developers embraced GitHub Copilot. For us, it cut testing cycles from 2 months to 3 days in some cases. What surprised us was actually how quickly people found their own use cases once they started experimenting. And we do track all of these results through our Power BI dashboards.
Tangible ROI, fabulous. This is so key when embarking on new tech investments. You mentioned value across different roles and responsibilities. And I love the fact that you mentioned your team members finding their own use cases. Leveraging Copilot and our Gen AI platform is not always linear. There's definitely a viral component. Our solution provides a ton of out-of-box functionality, but it also promotes experimenting and extending value through curious users. So I'm so pleased to hear that you're witnessing that in your own environment. Ryan, this next question is for you. Allegis is off to a good start. How did TGS help Allegis Group feel confident moving forward with expanding Copilot at scale?
Yeah, we took a very intentional enterprise first approach here, but in order to do that, we actually started at the group level. So each group had its own licensing model, governance considerations, and adoption goals. So really our first step was working closely with stakeholders across the organization to understand what those individual strategies were. Once we had an idea what that looked like, we were able to develop an enterprise plan that encompassed all the individual plans into something that we could use holistically. Now, equally important was also ensuring that enablement and training would scale just as effectively as the technology itself. We focused on creating training that was relevant regardless of group or role and met users where they already work. We also looked at training that could be deployed broadly without adding any operational complexity. This combination of clear licensing alignment, shared ownership across the multiple groups, and scalable role-relevant training really gave Allegis Group the confidence to move forward with Copilot in a thoughtful, secure, and sustainable way.
Okay, so you've gone through your readiness. You put Copilot in the hands of users. You've started to monitor usage and results, but you now need to scale Copilot across your organization. As you started this phase of the journey, what were your core governance and risk concerns?
The main ones were data protection, both personal and company data, bias in AI output, and overall organizational risk. We made governance operational, not theoretical, and we built an enterprise registry of AI systems and then ranked it by level of risk. This enabled us to conduct proactive bias audits, faster remediation, and vendor assessments before procurement. The framework also turned governance from a compliance checkbox into a business enabler because it allowed us to accelerate safe deployments rather than slowing everything down.
If I can just add another thing on there, Cedric, a generative AI solution like Copilot is truly a generational change. We see users taking advantage of new and exciting ways to not only discover content, but to also build agents to automate tasks and uncover new ways of working. This is why alignment between security and governance is critical for a successful implementation. We want to empower and embrace users' creativity while also ensuring that we're keeping our critical data safe and relying on governance models to drive sustainable growth.
Thanks to both of you. Very insightful information. The point you made, Leticia, about making governance operational and not theoretical is so important. I'm really happy you highlighted this need. So now that the two of you are both seasoned veterans in the world of Copilot, what should enterprises consider before enabling Copilot for large groups?
First, I would consider whether you have the internal capacity and the expertise to manage that type of deployment at scale. We leaned on TGS for security configuration, for training, our highly successful office hours, and all of the change management support. And this allowed us to let our internal teams stay focused on running the business. So I would say an implementation partner can definitely accelerate your time to value and reduce risk to the organization.
Yeah, I'd like to, if I can add another thing here, one of the things that we've noticed is it's important to take a people-first approach. You want to address fear and resistance head-on through education. Help people understand how to use AI responsibly and how it accelerates their growth and impact, not replaces them. We found that if you provide the foundation and ongoing learning, but make clear that AI fluency requires individual ownership, people have to engage with it, not just be trained on it. We also found that if you gamify usage to reinforce training and vary adoption, it can really help you adjust your efforts as needed.
Leticia, you mentioned the benefits of leveraging a partner to help you scale. Ryan, what are TGS's methods for continuous optimization and measurement?
Sure, we work with customers to help them understand the reporting capabilities that exist within Copilot Analytics. It's imperative to remember that Copilot adoption is not always linear and will require monitoring, like we discussed a little bit earlier. We explain methods to monitor utilization and strategies to help reignite interest when needed. These can be events such as promptathons, presentations from folks in your champions groups, or recurring office hours opportunities. They can also be more targeted training or email marketing campaigns to groups where adoption may have fallen off a little bit.
Based off the processes you've collectively built for monitoring usage and results, Leticia, I'll ask you this question. What early outcomes are emerging from Copilot usage within Allegis Group?
Yeah, there is the 150,000 hours saved across our 18,000 active users, which I mentioned earlier. And that is obviously time that is now going toward our client and talent relationships, complex problem solving, and strategic areas instead of administrative tasks. But we've also used Copilot as a foundation for building more sophisticated AI solutions. And I'll give you a couple of examples. There's a product called Alta, which is our translation assistant. We're a global company, and we have saved about $1.5 million, cutting vendor costs and translation time from days to just minutes, while maintaining 90 to 95% accuracy. Another example is our consultant PTO balance calculator, which is a product that achieved 100% accuracy in its results, and it cut case closure time from 31 hours for each one of these inquiries to just 13. That improved our compliance. It obviously created a better employee experience, and it built trust in AI across the organization. So for us, Copilot is more than just a productivity tool. It's become a platform for innovation, and it enabled us to build custom solutions that addressed specific business challenges.
I love that. That is phenomenal. As I stated earlier, tangible ROI is huge. You know, the fact that you've been able to clearly articulate real hard dollar savings in addition to the time savings is quite impressive. As you move forward, how will you use analytics in shaping next steps of your adoption?
We track adoption and the impact of our AI programs through Power BI dashboards that show us usage patterns, time saved, and where people are finding the most value. And so those insights then go on to drive our next phase. So we're piloting multi-agent solutions in areas like risk management, where we can automate cross-functional workflows that previously required lots of manual collaboration across legal, security, data, private, and finance teams. And so we're streamlining that significantly. This data also helped us identify where people need more support or more training so that we can adjust our change management efforts and coordinate with TGS in real time to solve and course correct for those activities.
You've both provided a ton of great information and insights. We're now going to pick the pace up a little bit, and I'll ask kind of some rapid Q&A questions. So this first one, I will throw over to you, Leticia. Having gone through this experience of rolling out Copilot at scale, what would you have done differently at the start of your deployment?
I would invest even more in leadership education up front, real fluency, not just buy-in. AI is different from other tech rollouts. Leaders can't just endorse it and delegate it away. They need to hug the frontier. They need to be hands-on users themselves. Their fluency sets the ceiling for everyone else's adoption and impact. I would also recognize earlier that ongoing engagement and encouragement are critical. People don't all catch up on the first day. They don't all catch it all up on the first training. Some will struggle with trust or not see how we can help them. That's where the leadership example and the ongoing support like office hours and gamification that we've used really mattered.
Ryan, this one's for you. What is one prerequisite every organization should address before enabling Copilot at scale?
That's a good one. I'm actually going to cheat though and give you two. The first one I'd say, like from a technical perspective, understand what's being shared and who it's being shared with. Also clean up where necessary. Now, this can be a struggle for a lot of organizations. The SharePoint Advanced Management tool from Microsoft can be really key here to helping organizations understand that. The second piece is from a cultural perspective. You need to understand the why behind your licensing strategies. We'll often see customers who have deployed licenses in a somewhat random approach. Often they assign those licenses to folks that may or may not have clear use cases for Copilot. So that often leaves them scratching their head and wondering why they're not seeing better adoption rates.
What value areas surprised your teams the most? Leticia, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, honestly, I would say compliance, HR, and security surprised me the most. Our compliance teams, for example, cut their analysis time by 30 to 60 minutes. HR achieved 100% PTO accuracy on their cases. And in translations, I mean, we knew translations were expensive, but we did not expect to get $1.5 million in savings and cutting turnaround time from days to minutes. That exceeded all of our expectations.
Excellent. So Ryan, I'll ask you this question. Based off your experience, what is the biggest misconception about Microsoft Copilot?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest misconception is one of the things that Leticia touched on a little bit earlier, is that adoption happens automatically once you deploy it. Again, the reality of this is you need champions, training, leadership modeling, and ongoing support. The moment you let off the gas, you're going to see some adoption rates dwindle. Also, keep in mind that different groups are going to need different levels of support. Some teams are going to catch on really quickly. Others might need more time and coaching to build confidence and see the value. You can't take a one-size-fits-all approach to the deployment of something like Copilot.
Excellent. So you both talked about keeping people enthused, the fact that you're seeing value. How will you sustain momentum after the initial excitement?
Yeah, we are at a pretty high 70% adoption right now. We are targeting 85% plus on a global basis. Momentum really comes from making AI visible and expected, not optional, right? It's not just cheerleading from the sidelines. It's showing our teams how to use Copilot in real work, creating peer-to-peer learning and normalizing the act of experimentation.
So I'll also add that leaders sustain it by modeling the behavior, just like we talked about earlier, using the tools, sharing what they're learning, including what doesn't work, which is also super important, and then making AI fluency part of performance conversations with their employees.
Amazing. I can't wait to see how Allegis Group continues to expand and drive value through Copilot. Just great information, a wealth of insights that you've both shared. I'm now going to change focus a bit, and I'll ask this of you, Ryan. Let's now focus on how TGS can help organizations transform their business via Copilot and the Microsoft AI platform.
Yeah, so at TGS, we really follow a Microsoft best practices approach where we focus on key technical assessments of customers' data and security postures, but we also work with them to understand their culture and help them define use cases where Copilot can be a real game changer for their organization.
So that's kind of the framework. What are some of the programs that TGS offers that you've really seen resonate in the market?
Yeah, we can assist with readiness assessments in technical areas as well as governance. Organizational change management and adoption is a strong suit of ours as well. And we can help customers start envisioning and planning how they may start with a pilot group and eventually grow to a larger rollout. Additionally, we can help customers discover why usage may have gotten stuck and help them find some ways to reignite adoption and excitement.
Great. Just like I said, an amazing session. And from a personal level, I want to once again thank you both for allowing me to be a part of this session. It is a great feeling when we at Microsoft are able to hear firsthand stories of our clients transforming their operations, reducing costs, and accelerating growth through our solutions. Ryan, for our audience, what is the call to action and what should they do to produce similar results within their business?
Sure, thanks, Cedric. If you scan the QR code you see there on the screen, you can connect with our team directly to learn more about the Copilot readiness assessment or envisioning sessions that we can offer. We're here to help customers adopt Copilot by treating it as a move toward the frontier of how work gets done and not just a feature rollout. Our focus is really on making Copilot work safely and effectively at scale. So this means aligning readiness, governance, and user adoption so that organizations can move quickly and with confidence. That approach we found really helps customers get beyond experimentation and turn Copilot into a consistent everyday way of working.
Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. And again, I want to sincerely thank both Leticia and Ryan for allowing me to be a part of this, highlighting TEKsystems Global Services' role in supporting the Allegis Group's deployment of Copilot. You guys are off to a great start, tangible results. I can't wait to see what you do in the future. Thanks to everyone who attended this webinar, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.